Well, good morning. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. And I'm a socialist. And that just means I want equality for all. I'm very pro-union, and I want everyone to have universal health care, education, income, and housing. I know it's like the worst thing you've ever heard anyone say, right? You're like, oh my God, so taken aback. So I wanted to talk first today about tariffs. Because I know, well, start our show as we should. Okay. Every morning to start the show, we play Edwin Stars. That's so crazy. We are live, right? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Uh, Here we are. So first things first. Oh, I couldn't find myself on TikTok. TikTok.com at jared.malat/live. I'm here, I'm here. Morning, good morning, good morning. Listen to War. All right, so check it out. First things first, before you do anything today, get this article from Washington Post. It's an opinion piece. Okay. Okay. So the first thing I would tell you, okay, if you're waking up this morning with dread on your mind and like, oh my gosh, what is this shit? Well, friends, it's a class war. But I also want you to look at that Washington Post article and understand that that's a lawyer in there saying, "Hey, Don didn't do his fucking homework as per usual. Good to go." So understand they're using the IEEPA, and I can do this without looking at notes. Check that shit out. Okay, the IEEPA, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977. Okay. Oh, buddy, you're hurting a million times more than I am. I have a degree and a job. Good luck. So, I just want to point out that in the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977, there's this word reciprocal. Okay. And for all you playing along at home that know for a fact Donald Trump does not know like 3 and 4 syllable fucking words, reciprocal means equal on both sides. So all you looking at those tariffs thinking, holy shit, he just destroyed the economy. No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. First of all, I'm glad the stock market's taking a hit. I'm glad to see these companies who probably mostly voted for Donald Trump, these corporations, take massive hits and these people lose billions of dollars. Fuck them. These massive corporations are why we're in this place economically, why we're in this space as far as our climate goes, right? So me and mine are not invested in the fucking US stock market. My job, in fact, my job hinges on failure. So for those of you preying on my downfall, you picked the wrong fucking time frame. Good to go. So first thing I would say is those tariffs aren't sticking. They're not sticking. One, they're not reciprocal, which is what the act requires. Two, they're not also justified. You have to actually have an emergency that would cause you to place tariffs. That's according to the IEEPA. He cannot justify the placement of tariffs on all of those countries. Okay? And keep in mind, Republicans voted against Donald Trump's wishes to undo tariffs against Canada. Okay? They're not equal. They're not equal. It's like they have a 10% tariff, we're tariffing them 40%. That's not a reciprocal tariff. They're not the same on both sides. hmm And you also have to justify them, meaning there has to be an emergency with that country. You can't just say, oh, we've had a, yeah, yeah. So how am I cheering for my own funeral? That sounds like a threat, Rob. Can you please restate that before I just call my buddy as a cop and say, hey, this guy's telling me I'm something about my funeral? You might want to fucking rephrase that, homeboy. Doesn't have to be said. Yeah, the IEEPA Act of 1970 is which he's using to substantiate placing this. Yeah, absolutely. When you start laying death threats in my comments, yeah, yeah, I don't have time for you peons fucking coming at me thinking you're gonna be violent, homeboy. That's my major. Marine Corps infantry. That's what I'm here for. So you're on the wrong channel. You may be able to do that with like everybody else, but like that's my forte, homeboy. That's what I came here for. Y'all are lucky. But I'll be out tomorrow at the protest downtown Indianapolis with this hat on, ready to knuck a few buck. Anyway, so Jesus. Y'all are troubling. Y'all are troubling today. Y'all the one that needs help. You woke up that way. It's interesting that you would come on my shit, or is this like a news show? This is a Learn Live. And also Popular Live. Hey, did you see that shit? Okay. So I'm just saying like he can't do what he did. He can't justify there's not an emergency that he can substantiate. Trade deficit is not an emergency. Many other first world countries have a trade deficit. Clearly you don't with your 300 fucking followers, Baba. Blocked. Okay. The McKinley tariff, by the way, which why don't I just take down the flags? That doesn't make any sense. I'm also not a communist. I'm a socialist. That's like the opposite end of the political spectrum. You're just whole stupid, huh? Just wholesome stupid. So yeah, Donald Trump has praised the McKinley tariff, okay, but it actually wasn't an executive order. So again, I'm saying for like the fourth time, Donald Trump's really dumb. Again, it feels like it's coming from Vladimir Putin and Elon Musk, and that English is what's fucked up here. They just and also Donald Trump's incredibly stupid. Morning, but like so what you got they got to be reciprocal, which means like if they don't have tariffs on us, placing a tariff on them, what? And also you got to justify it. So it's got to be reciprocal. You got to be able to justify it. He can't do either of those things. And then what he's leaning on and saying like the reason I'm like for this is because that wasn't actually a tariff. It's actual legislation. I know it's called the McKinley tariff, but it's not. Life is rough. Not everybody gets it the first time. So That's what I said in my video this morning. Like, you levied tariffs against places that are uninhabited. Are penguins going to pay taxes? Is that? But yeah, I wanted to point this out. The he's also brought up the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. Again, not a tariff. That's a piece of legislation passed by Congress. So again, I just want to point that all out this morning. Sorry for getting sidetracked by people threatening to kill me in my comments. I do appreciate everybody telling me to not pay attention to death threats. Thank you for understanding the moment. I think it's failing to understand the moment when you tell someone don't don't address someone that's threatening to kill you. That seems kind of fucking weird. I can ignore 99% of things, but death threats? That's a little awkward, right? So the last Donald Trump's who do you think will win? White Christian nationalists like about Democrats or Putin? Disturbing. Yeah. So one of the things that Donald Trump has said is his justification for these not fucking reciprocal tariffs is a trade deficit. And I just want to point out the last time the United States ran a trade surplus, and I'll let you, the audience, tell me. Okay? So, okay, I want you to tell me when is the last year that the US ran a trade surplus? Bonus points if you're like, Jared, it's totally in the article you posted. I read it while you were sitting here getting death threats. 1975. Yeah, that's right. 1970 fucking 5. That's the last time the United States had a fucking trade surplus. So tell me again, Don, how much does that matter in terms of our economy? Do you understand what a trade surplus is? And that you don't actually need that. Do you understand what that means? What does a trade surplus mean? You're exporting more than you're importing. If you're exporting more than you're importing, your people are probably poor, right? But if you had a trade deficit, right, that means you're importing far more than you export, which means that your people have money and that you're not all producers. I know that things are difficult and that it's hard to understand and school is hard to pay attention because there's a lot going on. Trust me, 9/11 happened when I was a senior and Columbine happened when I was a freshman. So high school is fucking wild. I get it. Economics is tough. But you know what's not tough? Understanding requirements. Like basic requirements. Like when you say I'm going to use this act right here to lay tariff. Cool. Typically done by Congress. It is the Eighth Amendment, Section 1, I believe, that says Congress does all the passing what is it? Hold on. I had it pulled up here. Lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and imposts, like imposing tariffs. Yeah, yeah. With Republican voters. So I like to have those conversations first, where I tell you that those tariffs, while they're going to completely fuck up our economy, are not going to stick. Here we go. And then I think the next most important thing that we should talk about, the next most important thing that we should talk about is the fact that last night 15 Democrats voted to stop the flow of money to Israel, especially given they're committing a genocide. That's a big improvement from two, which, if you remember Bernie Sanders and I can't remember the other guy, about 6 months ago, filed a bill to, yeah, KGB agent Trump, Krasnov Trump. He's not even good enough to be KGB. He's a KGB target. Okay. Remember I said this, Loco. Remember I said this. Right before his inauguration, Donald Trump holed himself in Mar-a-Lago and had multiple police checkpoints. And everybody's like, "Oh, he was scared of like being assassinated and shit." And no. No, it's Russians. And one of the things we found out since the inauguration is that now Mar-a-Lago is crawling with Russian nationals. So why do you think Donald Trump wakes up every day on some fuck shit? And everything he does, it doesn't sound like it helps America. He tries to sell it to you like it's gonna help us. In your brain, though, once you realize like he's full of shit, who's this really helping? Who's got the worst economies in the world right now? Who's doing the worst? I would throw out there Russia doing pretty bad economically. Yeah, right? So the only people that are gaining when we lay tariffs like worldwide is Russia. That's the only country that he didn't tariff. And their reasoning for was like, "Oh, we're already fucking them up." Okay. And understand the only, and again, I'm wrong, but I'm right. But like one of the only world economies that's actually improving is Russia. And their economy's in the fucking toilet. Hell yeah. So understand, again, going back to tariffs, which is we were trying to move on from that. Not justifiable, not reciprocal, cannot call a national emergency in every one of those cases. Okay. So every one of those countries, you got to be able to substantiate a national emergency in order to justify that. And he can't do all that. So I know you think he's powerful and really he's powerless. Executive orders and presidential orders are akin to a memo. They are not law. A bill, actual legislation, takes his dumb thoughts and makes them into a law. And that's not to say that it hasn't happened. It's totally happened. Donald Trump has signed some dumbass shit as an executive order, and then a bill has shown up with those dumbass words on it, and you're like, they're really going to try it. They mostly have failed. Well, you say that, but one thing I'll point to is who's the guy that wears the beanie, the black beanie? Tim, that's his name. The one of the right leaning guy that came out that he was being paid by RT and shit, and he didn't even, they were paying him six figures like a month to spit all the Russian propaganda that he was spitting, and he was being paid by them and didn't even realize like, oh, I'm I'm like a Russian asset. Tim Pool. Thank you. See? I didn't even have to fucking, I said Beanie, I said Tim, and Tim Pool. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, he's a fucking Russian asset. He literally had to shut his show down, and then obviously when, now that Trump's in office, he is in the pool. Fucking absurd. It's like he got legitimized. But yeah, they're saying that like, and again, per this opinion piece, it did cite some articles, and it did also say like he's just stretching presidential power beyond its breaking point, which is what he was intending to do. And again, people are like, why? And it's like, well, because Vladimir Putin told him to. So yeah, right. But that all said, I say all of that to say that isn't to say that there aren't going to be negative consequences. Okay. Yeah, as one of the Republicans said the other day, they got to have an emergency. Yeah. So China hit us back with 34% tariffs. Again, not great. One of the things that I've picked up off of TikTok is a lot of people have built businesses using TikTok. And imagine you're selling stuff internationally. That's that's your product that you're selling made in the US, and you're putting that on, you're going to try to sell it in China. That just got 34% more expensive for the end user. For the person buying it in China, you ain't selling shit. Yeah, aren't trade wars fun? Fucking no. Fucking no. I don't want it. So, President uh, Yoon Suk Yeol has been removed from office. So, democracy for South Korea, but not for thee. You know how it is? Yeah, fucking stupid. Hey, as I've been preaching since Donald Trump was elected, save your fucking money. Okay? My advice, now that the FDIC is in question, is get your money out of your banks, put it in a credit union, preferably a few of them. Spread your money around a little bit. Um, and don't spend unless it's you've done your research on your expenses, and learn to grow a garden. The more we find out about food, the more we find out we should all just be vegetarians anyway, right? The more we find out about how harmful or how horribly they treat animals before they execute them and cut them up into little pieces and we eat them. Um, but yeah, I think at some point, yeah, this will be made. Savings may not be a great choice. I'm understanding, like your savings account is still going to garner interest, and that's better than spending it on the inflated cost of goods, right? Yeah, the time is yesterday, Joanne. Get a tankless water heater. That's what I'm getting when I have like oodles. Because it just takes too long for the water to heat up in the morning. Like a minute. That's like a long time for your water to heat up. I grew up on a well out in the woods and our water got hot faster. And yeah, I posted a video and I said I'm not a real big fan of saying I told you so because it's not fucking helpful. And ask me how I know that. Okay. One of the things that I've had to do my whole fucking life is stay myself from being like, are you fucking serious? I told you so. We had a whole conversation about this. You did it anyway. Fucking idiot. So understand that this is my lived experience. But I'm letting you know that it's not great. Hey, I'm glad to hear that, Heathers. Heathers is a rancher and she said she treats our cacaos like gold. I'm glad to hear that. I was really upset to hear about what is it, Montaigne? We found that shit yesterday. Montaigne? It's in Virginia. It's a chicken farmer. Holy fuck. Like no. And I'm trying to remember the name brands that they cut up chicken for. But they're pretty fucking they treat them chickens like shit. It made me real sad where I was like, I don't even want to eat chicken. And I like fucking love chicken. Dude, I grew up on chicken wings, bro. Hooters and B-dubs was like my early adulthood. Just hey, chicken wings, son, not titties. I mean titties, but chicken wings. So yeah, that's great. My wife wants to sell our house and buy a farm. Why to spread your money around in banks, in credit unions? Because okay, so it's the thought process is remember the saying from Niemöller that I've quoted like multiple times. First they came for the communists, and I didn't stand up because I'm not a communist, and then they came for the socialists, and I didn't say anything because I'm not a socialist, and they came for the trade unionists, I didn't say anything because I'm not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I didn't stand up for the Jews because I ain't no Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. So the same end user, yeah. So I think people understand that the last person to buy it is the one paying the tariff. The one that like when you go to a car dealership and you go to buy a car, that's who pays the tariff. Not the car dealership, not the importer, you. The one buying the shit and signing up for a loan. Okay? I don't see it that way though, Ange. I get which is Tyson. That's who this horrific fucking company in Virginia, I think they're called Montaigne or something like that. They cut and package chicken for Tyson. And they mistreat the shit out of chickens. And again, yes, I my whole life I've seen chickens as food. Yeah? I didn't ever think I'd watch how they were treated. I never thought that was going to happen. One of the things I've been told my wife, because my wife, because of long COVID, she gets fucking overwhelmed. So for the record, everybody wondered, like, why is your wife on your show? Why isn't she sitting in the fucking audience? Because she can't fucking handle it. And it ain't me, right? It's like, just, there's no filter on this. When we sit here and we're having these conversations, I'm not holding shit back. There's not like some group of fucking stories that I'm just like not telling. We're talking about everything. Yeah, first they came for the chickens, and I said, I love chicken wings. What do you mean? But what I noticed over time, some guy from UK came out and said he was the whoa. Well, I mean that totally passes because we totally knew Luigi did not do it. And you know what's crazy? And we did talk about this because my wife does go back and watch some things. Okay, you know what my wife told me? She said when we read the manifesto, you said that wasn't written by him. That he's too smart. That wasn't written by him. That was written by a police officer without a college degree. And asked me how I fucking know that. Because I've spent the last 3 decades in a fucking education setting writing these fucking papers and something like a manifesto, shit, that's on the reading list. And so when I read that shit and I'm like, a cop wrote that. How the fuck do you know? Because it's like an eighth grade reading level. Come on. This kid's supposed to be like a really smart fucking murderer. You know what I mean? Like he did some shit. He's supposed to be more well planned out than this. And again, I think the whole like trying to give the money for catching him to the McDonald's fucking employee, and that was the initial story, and it turned out that the McDonald's employee spotted a fucking lookalike and called the police. And that's the truth. Not some shit where he would totally did it. Here's his manifesto, and also, yes, his manifesto is public. Hmm. I'm sure it. Yeah, even people in my YouTube comments are like, I remember when we read it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's what I said. I wanted to stay hold off on deciding whether or not he's guilty or not, because we have this whole thing called the justice system. Har har, we'll put a pin in that. Okay. And then immediately I was looking for pictures. I want to see his face. And I have to tell you guys, I'm not a cop, and I didn't even stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. And I saw 4 different images of that person in the same hour. And I was like, that's like 4 different people, bro. He again, he's a good-looking kid, actual Luigi, but like it's like 4 different noses, 4 different face shapes. They're all around like the same size, but like the evidence starts to fall apart. And now Pam Bondi is like calling for the death penalty. For the record, that's totally Donald Trump. Remember the Central Park Five. He's obsessed. They're so obsessed with being right that they don't care if they destroy life. That's one thing I can't wrap my mind around is like the carelessness with which Donald Trump and his ilk behave, as though their decisions aren't literally driving people fucking crazy. I mean, I work in finance. The people I talk to are supposed to have their shit together, and I got people having mental health episodes on my fucking phone. So clearly it's having an effect. But what I've tried to say is like the truth is coming. The truth is fucking coming. Hey, hey, S&M said Pam Bondi's just trying to find something to do. Sorry, it kicked me right out of the chat. So let's look at some news stories. All right. So obviously we got South Korean, right? That's a South Korean president that got impeached, right? Yes. Thank you. South Korean president got impeached. Okay. And again, Marie Le Pen got banned from participating in politics for 5 years, which is like the death penalty. And you got the president of the United States out here saying free Marine Le Pen. And it's like, do what? Fucking no, Don. Like, why? I don't understand how everyone we hate, this man likes. I don't understand. Jesus. JP Morgan raises risk of US global recession to 60%. Hey, we got like 56 people plus 20. Hey, it's like 75 fucking people in here, y'all. It's fucking Friday. I want y'all to have a good weekend. Big ass protest tomorrow. I figured we'd wait a little bit. We're about half hour in before we really get to the juice. Okay, first thing I'd tell you is here is a calendar that you can print off for the whole month of April. Okay, okay, and you can see Saturday, April 5th, tomorrow. You know what? No, I'm not even acknowledging this. Not even acknowledging this. Blocked. Not only was your content hidden, blocked. Like nobody even saw it, buddy. So, this whole month, what I would do if I was you financially is I would look at all your subscriptions. And my wife and I just got done doing that, and we were spending like $300 a month on scripts. So you can cut down on subscriptions. If we can cut down on subscriptions, you're probably just paying for stuff you don't need to be paying for. And in the economic climate that we're in, I think that it's important to have emergency cash. Cash is still king. Cash can get you in out of a lot of trouble that credit will just get you into. Okay? So tomorrow is a nationwide protest, every state capital around fucking noon. I took the day off. Okay, I gotta go. We're in an economic blackout. This means again, if it's not paying your bills to keep your rent paid and your lights on, and it's not food, save your fucking money. It's probably overpriced right now. One of the things I saw this morning when I woke up was gas prices. Nationally, gas prices is up 50 cents. It was like 288 for me before Donald Trump was elected and in the first couple weeks of his presidency. I don't drive very much. Remember, I work from home. Um, so it's 338 at that same gas station now. So that's a 50-cent increase and pretty quickly. Somebody asked in the comment here, do you think anything ugly will happen tomorrow? Still no. No. You got to understand, like, there's a wide swath of people that this administration is directly affecting. I said recently on the show, I cannot imagine being a black gay veteran with cancer in the United States. And for the record, one of the creators I follow is black, gay, has cancer, and is a veteran. So I would just feel fucking targeted. Yes. Thank you, Bobby. I love Mr. Global too. He's really smart. He was doing a deep dive this morning, and that's what actually got me to go look at like gas prices nationally and see if I could see a chart. And I can also down the road like a quarter mile is our gas station. So I just like took a little spin and was like, holy shit, gas for me is up 50 cents. And we ain't even 6 months in yet. Okay. Good. I hope gas prices fucking plummet. I hope gas costs nothing. Fuck the whole gas industry. Um, I'm all about buying renewable vehicles. I talk my wife and I, it's like one of our recurring conversations is like eventually we're gonna pull the trigger and get electric vehicles. And not fucking Teslas. I like the Mach E. I like the Blazer EV looks really tough. I'm a kind of a fan of Chevy. Um, I obviously would love to buy like American made. Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that Donald Trump's doing this time around is obviously he's taken up the like onus of being a thorn in all of our allies' sides, right? Like I can understand wanting to hold people accountable, um, but this shit is bananas. Bananas. And again, going back to that was funny. Going back to the yeah. We said from the strongest economy to nothing. Yeah. So hey, there's like a bunch of people watching me right now. So when I get stage fright, I revert to advocating for a healthy lifestyle. So hey, good morning. My name is Jared. If you don't already, make sure you like this, share this, make sure you follow me and help me grow. I'm here every day, 8 a.m. to about 9:30. We discuss news and politics with no filter. So I'm not holding anything back. I know I just said that a few minutes ago, but it's like I'm not backfilling stories so I can use that for content. I don't do that shit. Right? So a lot of times we'll be talking about shit that you can go watch the most recent video I made where I made a video talking about it, right? So I made a video yesterday talking about tariffs, and then I even followed up today with another video about tariffs, but it was because I had pointed out yesterday, oh, he's using the IEEPA from 77 to substantiate these tariffs. And then I thought, now that I've like put it out in the ether, it always comes back. Something's going to come back off that. And what happened? Within 24 hours, an opinion post on the Washington Post talked about sourcing multiple lawyers and talking about Republicans are saying like this shit's not going to stick. He looks like an idiot and he fucked up our relationships with like every country on the planet. Okay. And why? A lot of people want to know fucking why. I'll tell you. Donald Trump is led around by the nose by Elon Musk, Vladimir Putin, and fucking Bibi and Viktor Orban. Okay. Did you see Biden's? No, I did. The comment went away. Sorry. Um, I just forgot what I was gonna say. We should go back to advocating for a healthy lifestyle because our show's growing. Get 8 hours of sleep a night. That's the largest impact on your performance on a day-to-day basis is rest. I know that you were told that you can sleep when you die, but you don't even get to do that. You need 8 hours of sleep a day. You probably need to take a nap. Additionally, you need to focus on hydrating. Okay. Oh, time out. I just remembered what we were talking about. Why would Donald Trump place tariffs worldwide, basically? Oh, it's because he's led around by the nose by Putin and Orban and Bibi and fucking Musk, who remember Bibi and fucking Putin have ICC charges and literally cannot leave their home countries. If they go fucking anywhere, they could get arrested. Bibi had to um, persist. Let me attend this funeral and don't arrest me when some funeral happened. Okay, so time in. Uh, Most adults are told from a young age you can rest when you retire. You can sleep when you're dead. Uh, and as someone who has spent about the last decade working primarily with our elders, that ain't fucking true, kids. Way too many people are in their 70s and I hate to say 80s, so I'm kind of not saying that, but I run into people all day, every day, still working a full-time job. Okay. Okay. Hell yeah. Ben said I got 100%. Good. I'm at, I'm at, I have so many awards for disability that they somehow don't add up to 100%. It's kind of funny, actually. Um, like it clearly should add up to 100%, and it's like 74. Awesome. Awesome. Skylight Social is the TikTok replacement, and I'd be in there if I could. Well, I already went through Wounded Warrior Project. I'm not worried about it. I I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about what I can give rather than what I can get. A lot of people have been asking me since election day, Jared, what do we do? And I've told you, you do what you spent your whole life loving to be a part of. Okay. Skylight's actually owned by a TikToker. Remember Mark Cuban came out and said, I'll invest in a TikTok clone as long as it uses AT protocol. Um, and within I mean, I had posted about it. Dark Blue posted about it. And then there was this girl, Tori. Her and her buddy Reed built a fucking TikTok clone, and like she makes videos. They're so funny because if you've been on TikTok a long time, they just roll out shit and you don't know because it's a Chinese application. You don't know what improvements are made to this application. Nobody's explaining that shit to you. But Tori is making like fucking TikToks where she's like explaining, we got a search feature. We got you know what I mean? Like, so I know that it kind of feels hypocritical watching me on TikTok when like clearly Facebook is, but here's what I'll tell you. I think that my dog days are over. Okay. Um, on February 21st, so go back February 21st. Yeah, I'd be on there if I could remember my fucking iPhone password. Um, so February 21st, I make this video about Kash Patel using the FBI as personal security. I think that was the premise of the video. Now listen, I have not sat here and talked about numbers. So we're going to talk about numbers for a minute. Okay. For those of you that have been around from the beginning, you know, dude, I started posting content and was on fire from day one. Multiple times a week, videos in the tens, hundreds of thousands of views. I never said shit about it. That's not what I fucking came here for. This is not the game I'm playing. I have a message. It's different. I'm not here to, I want to grow, grow, grow. You don't see me spending the whole time trying to get you to pay me, subscribe here, done. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that. That's not what I'm here for. It's different. This is supposed to be a safe space. This is supposed to be a place where those of us that think alike can sit and talk about what is actually happening, how it is actually impacting us, and what we are actually going to do about it, right? So, on February 21st, and if you go look before February 21st, all the way back to October 21st, for the record, when I started posting content, you can just see like my views were insane on my content. Thank you so much for your support. But from February 21st, I didn't have a single video hit 1,000 views until March 21st. And then you look at the last several videos I've posted, they're all well into the thousands. Some are viral. Again, I don't give a shit. But what you can clearly demonstrate, like just by like if there was a way to just show you, I would just show you where you're like, there's February 21st. You see how all those videos until March 21st don't have 1,000 views. It never dissuaded me. It never has an impact on my content. But for a fucking month, yeah, Heathers, for a fucking month, I got message after message. Go look at the comments. Hey, what the fuck is going on? Like I don't see you on my FYP anymore. I put FYP in every video, right? I never stopped doing what I was doing, but I can tell you I pushed the button and it directly impacted the visibility of my content. So hell yeah, get me on fucking Skylight. I'd much rather be doing that shit, right? And that'll happen. Okay. Jesus fucking Christ. And any veteran that voted for Donald Trump, how could you vote for Donald Trump when he literally chose to golf over the dignified transfer of troops' bodies? He flew to a Saudi-funded event in Florida on Friday. Yeah, it's today. Most. I don't even know what the most I've ever gotten. I think I made a short video. I don't normally make those videos, as you guys have figured out. Like, dude, this dude can just fucking talk forever. Um, I made a short video where it was like I can connect four: Musk, Trump, Netanyahu, Putin, and I think that you did like 500,000. Um, right? Because Kamala Harris was playing Connect Four, sitting on the ground drinking wine, right? I know, big brain. But yeah, time back in. We were talking about advocating for a healthy lifestyle. So 8 hours of sleep, that's your mission. That's like your life goal. I know that it sounds lame if you're a young person, but your life goal is to get 8 hours of sleep per night. You probably also need a nap. And at some point in our day, we all get ass tired. So don't act like it don't happen. You probably just need a nap. Additionally, you gotta hydrate. And as much as I talk about, remember there's two sides to every coin. So part of telling you and telling my audience that as a part of your my recommendation to live a healthy lifestyle, I start with rest. Why? Why start with rest? Because of all of the singular activities that you could do that impact your performance on a day-to-day basis, getting a full night's rest is the most impactful on your potential on a day-to-day basis. 25% per 2 hours, less than 8, in case you were wondering. That's the impact it has on your performance. So if you're getting 6 hours of sleep per night, you're 75% of what you're capable of on that next day. And again, you can't get it back. So let's say you only get 6 hours of sleep at night and then take a nap. They don't add together. That's not how it works. It's an REM cycle. It takes 3 full hours for a single REM cycle, and you need two of those. You aren't getting two of them in 6 hours. Your body might be capable of doing that in 8 hours of sleep. Okay. And I know you're like, how the fuck? You have to make it a priority. Do this as a bare minimum. 8 hours of fucking sleep. I tell my fucking kids, don't come in a bad mood. Don't come in the morning in a bad mood. I'll knock you out. Okay? Get 8 hours of fucking sleep. Don't let me see you with bags in your fucking eyes. Okay? You say that. You would be even more powerful, Jimmy, with 8 hours. Okay? Now, also, whatever you got to do, yeah, sleep is even more important when you're a child. Okay? Um, it'll be more important as you get older. You need more sleep when you're young, you need less sleep when you're older, but then you get a certain age and you actually need sleep more. But when you're a kid, when you're asleep is the only time your body secretes HGH. You know, the shit people shoot up in themselves. If you'd have just slept 8 hours a night, you'd have been fine. But again, I've realized like there's two sides to every coin. So as much as I want to tell you to get good rest, you also, whatever you're doing during the day, it's got to lead you to rest. And I know you don't want to hear that. You just want to doom scroll and fucking, you know what I'm saying? You got to put your fucking phone down a good hour before you're trying to sleep. And you got to get a restful night's sleep. That's got to be a priority to you. There's a reason I'm spending a long fucking time talking. No, no. I don't know why you're arguing. This is a decade long army study. You aren't an outlier. You're just being argumentative. You aren't winning. A decade long army study. Colonel Berger presented this. So I understand. Okay. I'm just gonna make your life and my life a lot easier. Cool. But again, I wanted to point out, I think it's one of the larger stories of the day that again Donald Trump is gonna try to. Okay. Where'd you pick up the wooden flags in the background? Hey, Boiler Room. A buddy of mine that I was friends with for a long time got into like 3D printing, which led him to wood burning flags, right? And he thought he would just wood burn some flags using his little 3D printer he got at his house, and he could just go to like I don't go there, farmer's market and sell them. Well, what he found was that his baseline cost, um, like $40, right? Paint and all the tools and stuff. And he'd go there with a dozen wooden burnt flags, and he'd sell like three over a weekend. And you know he's selling them for like 100, $150, right? Just the flag, right? And he kind of, I went out to visit him, and I was like, "Oh, cool, you got these wood burnt flags." And he was like, "Yeah, you know they don't really sell." And I was like, "Oh, that sucks." And he was like, "I got to figure out something to do to spruce them up, so people be more likely to buy them, and I could charge more money, and you know maybe it doesn't take much more material, right? So I need to add a line of revenue or make this product more valuable without increasing my investment in each individual product." And I said, "Well, you can pay a license fee for these licensed logos, and if you can get your thing to burn the flag or burn the flag and the logo in, you could sell them." Well, just so you know, he for like 9 years sold these for like $250 to $450 a piece. Um, for years, literally got to quit his job and like made oodles, thousands of dollars in a weekend. Great idea, Jared. Thanks. You could pay for these licenses. They're pretty cheap. Yeah, it's fucking sweet. And so I got a few of them cheap. I think I paid even $250 to give me these three things. The reason they're there though is obviously because I live in Indiana, Indianapolis, West Lafayette, Indianapolis, right? And also it's kind of a reminder to me. I coach high school football. Two of these aren't mine. They belong like a couple of the kids I coach that are in college now had seen them and had asked about them, and said they wanted them, and I was like, pick it out, I'll just give it to you. And so like I said, two of these are gone. I think I get to keep the Purdue one. Um, so yeah, that's how that happened. But yeah, so we're talking a long time. Hey, boy, hell yeah. I went to Purdue in 2002, lived in McCutcheon, um, and then lived in an apartment above the subway right there in Chauncey. And then was just enrolled at Purdue last semester studying data analytics. He went to Harrison, lives in Harrison. Cool. So I'm about a year away. I'm basically at the point now where there aren't any more like elective courses I could take. I just gotta pick a degree path and like finish. Um, I figure, given that I'm establishing the American Socialist Party, maybe a low bar should be that I have a political science degree. So again, low bar. Um, but again, I don't. They aren't lined up, and that's Joanne. The reason they're not lined up, one, is because it tilts the shit out of people, and that's hilarious to me. But there's also only one nail holding them all up, so that's why they're cockeyed, is because of physics. Um, Janie was my vicious mother-in-law. It's funny. Okay, so we were talking about ah ha ha. So jamming. TikTok is fucking crazy. So in addition to advocating for a healthy lifestyle and saying like you got to get 8 hours of sleep a night, naps are fucking great. You've got to make sure that you hydrate. I grew up, my generation grew up, and Red Bull got introduced, and energy drinks got introduced. Okay, and again, I'm not sitting here having not been addicted to energy drinks. I've been addicted to energy drinks. Okay, your focus needs to be on hydration. Kids are too quick nowadays to grab something sugary, grab something with caffeine in it, and you just don't need it, right? And you don't learn it until you're an adult. You know, all that caffeine and sugar, all it leads to is diabetes and fucking kidney stones. Ask me how I fucking know. My old man, who I thought for a long time was like the toughest motherfucker I ever met in my life, I seen him roll around on a fucking gurney with a kidney stone. Okay, and it's not fun. And the reason that he got kidney stones is because my old man drank a 12 pack of Squirt every day for fucking years. Shout out Squirt until Mountain Dew came around. Okay. And then my household, when I was a child, was going through a 24 pack of Mountain Dew in 2 days. So my entire fucking childhood was a fight over fucking caffeine and sugar. Okay. Now that I'm adult, I don't even remember the last time I've had a full flavored soda. Okay. Every now and then I'll get a fucking energy drink. Right. Um, so again, it's not like I'm sitting here saying, and I've had fucking adverse health effects and oh my God. No, I'm actually like perfectly healthy. And I think that's because every cell in your body reproduce, like it gets replaced every like 7 years. So nothing's fucking permanent on you. If right now you're like, Jared, I'm fucking hardcore addicted to caffeine and shit, like what am I supposed to do? Wean yourself off the shit like it's a hardcore drug. The only problem I have with the conversation around Vladimir Putin clearly has dirt on Donald Trump. It's like, what the fuck dirt? Like, what dirt though? What could have Donald Trump done that we don't know about? Okay. But I'm like, what could he have possibly have on him though? Hey JJ, I just want you to know that they filtered your moderation, meaning I can't even let everyone see that. And it says it was filtered. What could he? Yeah, like what could you do if you're Donald Trump that we don't know about that's actually worse than what we know you did? Like we we know you're a Russian asset, Krasnov, and you have been since like what, 87? Yes, exactly. Brasher, how much fucking worse could it actually be? And again, I've tried to tell everyone in my early days of TikTok, I saw this video and I'm going to describe it to you and I'm giving you all a mission. There are there are more than 70 people in here. I have a mission for you. Should you choose to accept it? There is a video. It's not very long. I want to say 3 or 4 minutes. It's a white, pasty white man with long black hair standing waterside so you can hear the water behind him. And he says, I know why, something to the effect of, like, I know why all of this is happening. And he talks about how all of his victims, all these women. And he has that list too. There's a whole list of women that Donald Trump did inappropriate shit with. And he can barely hold it to fucking together. No, we already know that though. That's not news. Okay? I'm gonna say it again for those of you that are daily listeners, you already know what's about to come out of my mouth. But there's a video where this guy's like, apparently all the women didn't didn't sway voters at all. And he produces a list of men, of boys. And he says their fucking names and how old they were and a brief description of the lewd act committed. And here's the beautiful part about all of this. I cannot find that fucking video. And I'm telling you, some of the people that he said, some of those names sounded fucking familiar. And I'll add to this. I stopped had it removed just like Epstein Island. Yeah. So I shared that video. Oh yeah, they scrubbed that shit off the internet. Oh, for sure. I have felt that Teflon Don meant that, like, there's nothing that he could fucking do, and him face the consequences for it. But when I posted on the internet that Donald J. Trump was horrible, he's a horrible fucking person, and it's not just little girls, it was little boys too. And it was like over a dozen. It was like 13 little boys that, and the thing about it was that was so fucking God's son love Trump Jr. What the actual fuck here? Cool. So, yeah, I already did. Um, I posted that shit on the internet and was like, Donald Trump did this stuff. that, I mean, the thing about the little girls is that the stuff was purely sexual. Like when you think about the actual lewd act, it's like he committed a sexual act with with a little girl. But with a little boy, and the reason I found it particularly troubling, like it made me be like, oh fuck, is that those weren't just lewd acts with boys. They were torturous. They were violent. It's not just he was sexing them down, you know? He wasn't diddling. I mean, now he was diddling too. He was doing a lot worse shit. And I posted that shit on the internet, and the reaction that I got, the guttural fucking response, to use Magic the Gathering card names, the guttural response from people that were like, "Oh hell no, oh that makes me sick," were from Trumpers. So do you understand how I think I know exactly, I think exactly what Vladimir Putin's got on Donald Trump that isn't already wildly a public? That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. Like when he has sex with a minor that's a girl, yes, I'm talking about physically violent. Like he wasn't, it's hard to explain. I don't want to back myself in a corner here, but there's a difference. He was sexually inappropriate with a little girl. Well, this isn't sex. This is him being like violently abusive, and there's not a sexual act here. That's what I'm saying. It's a difference between behaviors. And I think nothing that he could, and again, I'm not a Trump fan. I'm saying nothing that he could do to a woman had an impact on his electability. Not me. I never voted for that. I'm saying like didn't matter what he had ever done to a woman, he got elected. But when I'm posting on the internet, like, I'm pretty sure Donald Trump was not only sexual, but violent with little boys and had to settle with them for millions of dollars, much like he did with girls. But the description of the acts, there is a difference between sexual acts and violence, like being abusive, like trying to hurt somebody physically with your fists or uh, weapons, which is what I think some of those lewd acts, like they were obviously lewd acts with little boys, but there was also like he beat them with a stick. You know what I mean? And again, when I only saw the one video and I've seen another article where there's like the list of people, men, boys. And again, I can't recall off of that, but there were even names I recognized where I was like, oh my God, is that a famous person? So that's one of the things that's like super confusing. And also, what could have Donald Trump done that's still worth hiding from the public? Do you understand? Like, do we, like, I feel like we know everything about him. Like, what was he abducted by fucking aliens? Like, what would you try to hide? Because it just got let out that he's Krasnov. We knew that he was a fucking Russian asset. What did he actually do? And I've, it's I wake up in the same fucking shithole you do every day, where I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, what could he have possibly done that he does whatever Vladimir Putin wants him to do, whatever Elon Musk wants him to do? And remember, Executive Order 13848, those investigations into every election in every state, they didn't give an all clear. Those things didn't just get fucking deleted. Yes. But yeah, do you ever ask that question like, do you not see sexual violence against women as or SA as violent? That's a silly question. You have to understand what I meant, and I have to be better at saying what I mean. That is true. Donald Trump said he could shoot someone in the middle of Times Square and that nothing would happen. That he would just get away with it. But I mean, think about it. Central Park 5, right? Donald Trump was so convinced that these five black boys committed murder that he took an ad out in four different newspapers, spent a quarter million fucking dollars, advocated for the death penalty, and all them boys did an average of 7 years in prison, and one of them did 20 years, and none of them did it. In fact, the person that did it came out and admitted they did it and by themselves, and it wasn't any of the Central Park Five. That's pretty fucking awful. Donald Trump is a racist landlord. He refused to rent to black people. Donald Trump has a history of not paying his workers. He has a history of letting his properties go to shit. For the record, if you've ever been anywhere Donald Trump's name is on the front more than once, you'll realize I'm right. He let his casinos go to shit. He let his hotels go to shit. He has all this, what is it, 27 different women that he was sexually inappropriate, ranging all the way from harassment to actual rape. Grape, grapes of wrath, right out of the TikTok shop. It's a story. Okay. And then you think about the fact that he's been like a Russian asset that whole time. But it's like, we already know all those things about him. So you could just spell it. So yeah, when we think about like what does Putin have on him, I I think he also probably owes them a lot of money. I'm imagining there was a time period where nobody would bet on Donald Trump. Why did we let him run for election? See, you can run for office as a felon. And if you ever needed a justification, why can you run for office with a felon, with a felony? Look at Hunter Biden. It Hunter Biden got a federal gun charge for filling out a form wrong. Most of us would have just gotten a slap on the wrist or a warning, and Hunter Biden got a federal gun charge for that. And it took a pardon to get rid of that. And if you look at Hunter Biden, he's definitely going to run for politics. Look at his history. Okay. Hunter Biden didn't even run for president. Yeah. Why does there have to be a reason? He's a narcissist and has zero empathy. Yeah. I mean, clearly, all these people's lives he's affecting, right? He doesn't seem to give a shit about that. Doesn't seem to bother him at all. That thing was fucking crazy. If I did something and it had a negative impact on another dude, I'd be beside myself. Never mind like firing like 90,000 fucking veterans. No, 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 that's a violent crime. There's no statute of limitations on violent crime. And understand at some point I'm gonna have and I told in the next month, thank you. In the next month, I'll have the money to get the tax ID, get an actual bank account for the American Socialist Party so that we can start being very public. Um, and also you got to understand the CIA in this country exists to kill socialists. So part of my slow rollout here is I'm not trying to put a target on my back. Okay. And use my VA benefits. Um, I do want to say this because I feel like people want to argue. Okay. VA benefits are paid out of the treasury. Those are never getting affected. Many people will muerte if veterans benefits ever get touched because they get paid out of the treasury. You shouldn't be able to touch them. Military is funded via socialism, just like police, fire, and parts of the system. Yeah. Yep. And I'm a syndicalist socialist, which means that I want union leaders to become political leaders. And I want socialists to join their union and become a union leader. Why? Because if you have any desire, if your heart wants the world to be a better place and it starts with where you live and the country you live in and shit, I think you should get into politics. You have a great deal of love for your country and a great deal of understanding of like your environment and what they need, right? And what's going on in your communities and how can we impact them, you know? For the record, I live in Indianapolis, Indiana. I think there's a couple big problems that we have here. One's education, the other is the rising cost of living, right? So on the one hand, they're underfunding public education, and on the other hand, the cost of living's out of fucking control. We need rent control, for example, and we need to make it more affordable to live in Indianapolis. It is a very industrious city. Yeah, absolutely it is. And I'm the founder of the American Socialist Party, and I'm pro equality, right? I want the removal of this two-tier justice system we live in. I'm pro-union. I want everyone to have universal health care, education, income, and housing. Doesn't surprise me that Tulsi Gabbard was in a cult. That's most of the United States, though. Right now, I mean, some have better education, no doubt. Yeah, and I think if you just told people just that, hey, this is as political as I get. Um, in 2022 or in 2020, 2020 to 2022, they did a program in Denver, Colorado. They gave 500 families $500 every Friday for 2 years. And when they went back to do their research after the program was over, they found that 42% of households produced a college education, a child, a wedding, or bought a house in that 2 year period. And those are the markers they look at for the growth of an economy. And so when you ask me, like, what's the most impactful single piece of legislation that a socialist could pass? Universal income. Mhm. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, socialism! How do you pay for that?" Um, well, we could stop over investing in the military-industrial complex. That'd be a great place to start, i.e., Elon Musk. And then also a small change to the tax code, actually, would save us all like 8 grand a year. Might cost you a couple grand when you go to file your taxes. But you know what I learned? 65% of Americans get anywhere from about $1,500 to $2,000 back every year when they file your taxes. I just wanted to point out that's an overpayment on your taxes. So that's a tax-free loan that you gave the government by overpaying on your taxes over the course of a year. Hmm. You could just give that up, save 8 grand over the course of the year, have universal health care, education, income, and housing. Everybody wants to talk about how the fuck do we get to universal health care? Well, the healthcare system in the United States is fucking failing, and so I'd say we are prime for fucking universal health care because the shit ain't working and it's breaking. Okay, so we need to go to the healthcare companies and say, hey, you bunch of idiots that work in 33 of 34 developed countries that offer healthcare plans that have zero cost monthly, zero copay, zero cost for medication. And in fact, give thousands of dollars every year for things like dental, vision, and hearing. They'll even give you money for groceries and bills. So know those plans already exist in the United States, and universal health care is free. So Judy with the big brain in my comment section, how do you get cheaper than free? I'll wait. And then also, and for the record, the healthcare companies that you hate right now, they could just do a 180. They could just put you on their dual special needs plans that are meant for people with Medicare and Medicaid. Those plans even exist. They could just make them available for everybody. You just had to pay over $3,000 in taxes, even with deductions. As a single mom, wipe me out. Jeez. Social Security comes from the Treasury also, as you paid in FICA too. Yeah. I mean, you said the industrial prison complex needs to be reformed, or how about just removed, period? How we don't need a prison industrial complex. How about the elimination of it? I don't think more time in isolation is correct, or more time in Gen Pop is correct. But understand, if we don't do something, the billionaires in this country are going to jail their political opponents and use them as slave labor if we don't do something. Yes. hmm So, in addition to universal health care, universal income, I'm a big proponent of universal education. You know, when I think about all the people that I've met in my life from the time I was a child until now, what if none of the people that I met ever had any idea what a student loan was? What if that wasn't the barrier to higher education? What if the only barrier is what you were capable of? And I know that sounds like an inspirational quote out of a book or something, Jared. No, it's just what if you didn't have to think about like, oh fuck, if I fail this class, not only did I have to pay for it, but I got to take it again and pay for it again. Ah, fuck it, I'll just give up. How many times does that happen, right? So I'm a big proponent of universal income, healthcare, education, and then housing, right? One of the things I can't tolerate is a lack of empathy for homeless people. And the biggest problem I have with the this homeless population that we have in the United States is people are trying to soften the blow by calling them anything other than fucking homeless. And they're trying to make themselves feel better about the situation by saying, "Oh, they're not homeless. They're housing challenged," when they're fucking homeless. And again, one of the things I've learned in my life, most homeless people are veterans. So we say we give a shit about veterans. There's an awful lot of them that are homeless. And I just happen to think that there are way more empty homes in the United States than there are homeless people, period. Like 10 times more empty homes than there are homeless people. And I think that if your house is for sale and it's not for sale by owner, oh, the unhoused. Yeah, that's my, yeah, way to soften the blow so it doesn't make you feel so bad. The unhoused. How about homeless people? Because you know what? I may not have a good relationship with my mom now because she's a fucking Trumper and a Looney Tunes 2A, okay? Like with her AR in her fucking trunk. Um, but my mom, when I was a little kid, she volunteered at soup kitchens and she ran the soup kitchen. And my parents were the rich people in my town. My family, my parents dragged in $500,000 a year working a full-time job when I was a kid, and I lived in a poor town. And my mother, who again is a complete fucking turd now, showed me. Obviously, it's a lot. People are like, she probably felt guilty, right? Because my parents were dirt poor. My dad is a runaway. Okay, so my parents were dirt poor. My grandparents dirt poor. Okay, so my parents actually haven't made something out of themselves, right? Maybe it does have a little bit of guilt baked in. But I remember going to homeless shelters and soup kitchens. And you know what we didn't see? People from our neighborhood. Wasn't wasn't very important to the other people in our neighborhood, in our church congregation, in my school. And people ask you, what were you doing on Tuesday night? Feeding the homeless? Yep. And for the record, one of the main reasons that I've learned that there are homeless people is because you cannot be a homeowner and build an abode on your land and let someone live there for free. You have to have that zoned commercially and build because it's just an insurance issue. Ask me how I know. I was gonna literally build a tiny home and put it on my fucking land, and you can't do that. Well, it's that time of year. People are starting to mow. It's the first I've really heard mowers, so no, crazy to everybody else. Yeah. But it's not necessarily like prisons should not be allowed to be privatized. It's like uh big prisons shouldn't exist. They shouldn't just be able to jail and put a bunch of people in a prison. That shouldn't actually exist. No, no, no. I get what you're saying, S&M, but I'm talking about like let's say you have a family member, right? Somebody who lives and works on your land. You can't just like buy them a tiny house, put it on your property. Sure, you could get them a RV. They could live in an RV on your land, but again, I one of the things that and again, I'm not a hater, so I don't take this as me being a fucking hater. I talk to way too many people that live in an RV. I didn't say there was anything wrong with it. I just said I talked to way too many retirees living in a fucking mobile home. You know what I mean? Living in an RV. Sorry, they're not the same thing. Okay. I mean, keep in mind, my dad's parents died in a trailer. Okay. My mom's parents live in a house not much bigger than one. Okay. But for example, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right, in Southern California, had to buy land, zone commercial, put 200, I think it was 250 units up to house homeless veterans, but it had to be zone commercial. And I think they have to pay money or something. What is my point on what? George, it's such a weird thing to ask. This has been an hour and a half long podcast. What's my point on people living in? Oh, it's no way to live. People deserve better. You deserve Eden. You've just been sold a dumpster. I'm sorry. You deserve paradise. I'm sorry that you don't agree with that. Big, big house with lots and lots of room, with a big, big table with lots and lots of food. Don't you remember that fucking song when you were a kid, or did you just decide like none of that shit mattered, huh? Millions of peaches. Yeah, right. So eat the rich. Get out of here. Have a fucking Friday. What is this movie? I will go see that. Thunderbolts? Hey, have a great day, everybody. He said, "Oh dang, the show's almost over." Yeah, lots of people never planned for retirement. I don't agree with that. Lots of people planned plenty for retirement, and the economy got in their way. So, one of the things I don't do is blame victims, and I think that we're all victims. I think that the bad guys are the elected officials in the United States and some billionaires. Not you. So we may not agree on some shit, but that doesn't mean you're my enemy. The people that support the people that literally want to imprison their political opponents. The people that would totally do that to keep themselves out of jail. And that's David Sachs, Peter Thiel, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Donald Trump in the United States anyway. And there are others. There are others that supported that financially with oodles and oodles of American dollars. No, they're not. Like, are you just saying that to piss me off? The military, the bad guys, complicit in genocide? Can you explain how? You can't. You're an idiot. There's a reason your shit says billionaire CEO. God damn it. I just can't. 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 Yeah, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you.